Hi, I'm Dr. Lester, the principal at Franklin Middle School, and I just wanted to take a moment to deliver some announcements to our Viper families. So, first of all, thank you so much for all of your patience. Since we've started school, as you know, we've had several quarantines of cohorts going from in-person learning to remote learning to in-person learning and then back to remote learning due to COVID. And this virus has really shifted what the new normal at Franklin Middle School looks like. And so, again, I know that the transition from school to home for extended periods of time is a challenge and it can be tough for you and your student. And I just want to thank you for extending that grace and working with us and supporting your student to make sure that they continue to be active in school while they're home doing remote learning. So let me just give you a little bit of an update and then I'll talk about some dates. As you know, we've had several cohorts come and go due to possible exposure to COVID at Franklin. And this last decision was a decision to go remote until after Thanksgiving, not because of we had such a high number of COVID cases at Franklin. That's not the case. The situation that happens when you have to send one cohort out, and a cohort refers to a classroom, and our classes at Franklin do not rotate. The teacher rotates into the classroom. So we no longer have passing period. So teachers rotate so that students can stay in the same class all day with the same group of students. And that is a safety precaution to prevent any interaction with other cohorts because of the spread of COVID and how easily it is to contract it. So when we have one class that ends up going out for 14 days because of a possible exposure, with that class goes 3 to 4 teachers. Now, those other teachers still have their own cohort or their class, and that which is what we refer to as their mentees. They don't have to leave Franklin. And the problem becomes when you have more teachers that have to be quarantined due to a possible exposure because of one class, and it might be a student in that class, or it could have been another adult in that same class. We have to send all of those teachers that have taught in that class home. And so that puts us at a deficit or a struggle in covering all of the remaining classes as the teacher teaches from home and she remotes into her cohort class. Somebody has to be in that classroom where the students are because they haven't been sent home because they weren't exposed to anything. And the problem becomes when you have more cohorts that go out, the same number of teachers have to go out. And so because we are not getting a lot of people stepping up to be substitutes in our building, we cover as every class that we possibly can until we reach a place where we can no longer provide the coverage because we're short on staff. And that's what happened on Monday. We had 5 cohorts that went down in the last week. And then we knew that that was probably our maximum. And then Monday, we had another one that had to quarantine. And so that was the tipping point. We want to make sure that your student has a rich educational experience. And in order to do that, you have to have the right number of staff to do the instruction. And so there was some concern that Franklin might have had what's considered an outbreak. However, it is not an outbreak. In order to have an outbreak in our school, you have to have 5% of your population have COVID. And so you're looking at about 20 people in the building would have to have been positive for COVID. And oh my gosh, that's absolutely not the case at all. So again, we just had coverage issues. I recognize and acknowledge from families and students and teachers that this transition going back and forth, man, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. And I know it's the hardest on our students and their families. And so I just am so sorry that this is happening. Unfortunately, this is our normal in our country. And the most important thing is that our students are safe and our staff is safe, and that you're safe. So I wanted to just take a minute to talk about the remote learning from home. You received either a phone call, a letter from your student that we sent home, or an email kind of outlining what that looks like. So today is November 10th, and it's the first day of remote learning. Remote learning for Franklin will end on November 20th. That is a Friday before we go into Thanksgiving break. So the week of November 20th, from 23rd to November 27th, is Thanksgiving break. So we're not in school. Students are expected to return to in-person learning on November 30th. And that is the directive as of today. But as you know, gosh, things change overnight. You put a whole plan together and then it changes. And so we will continue to keep families updated. If you do not have current email with the school that you've put on your face sheet for the school, or if you've changed your email address, I encourage you to call Franklin and get everything updated, as that's a huge source of communication to our families. Again, if you have any questions, any concerns, please call the school at 970-348-3200. We have our office staff there, fielding phone calls and supporting you and your students. So with that said, one of the important things that I need to discuss with you as a person that's supporting your remote learner at home is the student's schedule is exactly the same. So they will log into school at 8:30 and go to their first period class in Schoology, and then they will follow their regular schedule just like it was at in person at Franklin. And so the expectation is that your student have their camera turned on. It's not okay for students to be in attendance without their camera on, because do they turn their camera on and then they go play video games? We don't know. So we are taking attendance very serious in this remote experience, and that we're going to need your help in partnership to make sure your student is accessing the classes daily, every day, all, for the 6 hours that they're in there, because this is their academic opportunity. Unfortunately, we don't want any student to have to repeat their grade because they chose not to participate through remote learning. The other thing is, in addition to their camera on, we're asking that students be in the dress code, Franklin dress code, from the waist up, because they're going to be in class and they'll be on a screen. And so we're not going to fight any dress code violation or have to be tempted by wearing things that are inappropriate. So we're asking that all students be in their Franklin dress code. And then we're also making sure that students are sitting in a place, if you can find a place in your home where your student can sit with their computer and their 3-ring binder for notes and be able to engage fully in the academic experience. Now, we know that other kids may be home, or there's just all kinds of craziness happening out in your house outside of school, and we completely understand that. So if there is a concern that you're not able to help support your student with some of the norms, gosh, please reach out to the school so that we can figure out a way to accommodate. If we need to bring a desk and a chair to the house, we can do that. So I just wanted to take this moment to extend my gratitude and to wish you guys well through this pandemic, and stay safe, and please be in partnership with us and your student. That's all for this announcement. Have a great day, Viper Nation.